The night was quiet in the city. Most people were asleep, but one small room was still full of light. Inside that room, a young researcher named Armin sat in front of his computer. He was not a famous scientist. He was not working for the government. He was just a curious man who loved to listen to signals from space. Armin had built his own small radio telescope with broken parts. Every night, he pointed it at the stars, hoping to catch something unusual. For years, he heard nothing but static. But on this night, something different happened. A strange signal came through his speakers. At first, it sounded like noise, sharp clicks, whispers, and hums. But as Armin listened carefully, he realized the sound had a pattern. Someone, or something, was trying to send a message. He quickly started recording. His heart beat faster as a screen showed repeating numbers, symbols, and unknown words. Armin whispered to himself, This is not from Earth. Hours passed as he tried to decode the signal. Slowly, a few words appeared in English. The words were broken, but the meaning was clear enough to freeze his blood. The message said, "The Council controls the stars. Do not trust. They watch all worlds. Run." Armin stared at the screen in shock. The Council? What Council? He had never heard about such a thing. Why would someone from space send a warning about it? He played the signal again and again. Each time, he heard a low tone at the end, almost like a whisper in the dark. It was chilling, as if a voice was speaking directly into his ears. For a moment, he thought about calling his friends. But then he stopped. If this message was real, if this council was truly dangerous, who could he trust? What if someone was already watching him? The clock struck 3 a.m. Armin rubbed his eyes and leaned back. He felt both excited and afraid. This was a discovery of his life, but it also felt like a curse. Then something even stranger happened. The signal cut off suddenly. The screen went black, but one last word flashed before disappearing. Run! Armin jumped from his chair. His skin turned cold. The word was clear, written in perfect English. Someone out there had sent this warning directly to Earth, directly to him. But who? And why? He walked to his window and looked at the night sky. The stars looked peaceful, silent, and distant. But now, Armin no longer felt safe. He felt as if invisible eyes were watching from the darkness above. Far away, beyond Earth's atmosphere, a shadow moved. It was not a shooting star. It was not space debris. It was something alive, something intelligent, and it was listening. Armin did not know it yet, but his discovery had already been noticed. The forbidden message was not meant to be heard by humans. The moment he decoded it, alarms were triggered somewhere in the galaxy. On a distant planet, in a grand chamber filled with tall figures cloaked in silver and black, a council meeting had just begun. One of the figures spoke with a deep, commanding voice. Earth has received the message. Another voice replied, full of anger. Then we have been betrayed. Who dares to warn them? The chamber grew silent. Shadows shifted. The council did not like being exposed. Finally, the leader raised his hand. It does not matter who sent the signal. What matters is this: Earth must not know the truth. If they awaken too soon, the galaxy will burn. And with those words, the order was given. Silent ships began to move. Their destination was clear: Earth. Meanwhile, Armin sat in his small room, unaware of the danger approaching. He saved the recording on multiple drives, hiding one inside his old books. His instincts told him this was too important to lose. The more he thought about the message, the more questions filled his mind. What was the council? Why were they afraid of humans? And who had risked everything to send this warning? He did not know the answers yet, but he knew one thing: his life had changed forever. Outside, the night was still. The city lights glowed softly. People slept peacefully in their homes, never knowing that far above them, a silent war had already begun. And in the center of it all was one young man, sitting alone with a secret too big for the world to understand. The forbidden message had been heard. The council's secret was no longer safe, and the story of Earth's hidden power was about to begin. In the heart of the galaxy, far beyond the reach of ordinary stars, there was a secret chamber. It was not shown on any star map. No pilot was allowed near it. The chamber floated inside a dark nebula, hidden by clouds of dust and silence. Inside, 12 figures sat around a round table of black stone. They were the Council, the most powerful rulers in the galaxy. Each of them represented a different species, but all wore long cloaks that hid their faces. The Council controlled everything. Wars between planets, trade routes between systems, even the rise and fall of civilizations. Entire empires moved like pieces on their board. Ordinary people across the galaxy never even guessed that such a group existed. To them, war seemed natural, and peace seemed like luck. But in truth, nothing happened without the Council's permission. One of the figures slammed his hand on the table. His voice echoed across the chamber. Earth has received the forbidden signal. This is unacceptable. Another figure leaned forward, her eyes glowing faintly under the hood. That planet is not ready. They must not learn about us. If they awaken, everything we built will fall. The leader of the Council, taller than the rest, spoke slowly. His voice was calm but filled with power. Humans are different. They grow fast. Too fast. They were meant to stay silent for centuries more. Yet now, they hear whispers that were never meant for them. Around the table, the cloaked figures murmured in unease. One of them asked, "But why fear them? Humans are weak. Their weapons are primitive. Their ships cannot even leave their own solar system." The leader's tone sharpened. Do not be fooled by their weakness. Power is not only in weapons. Power is in potential. And humans carry a potential older than the stars themselves. The chamber fell into silence. Meanwhile, on Earth, Armin sat in his room, still staring at the saved recording. He had replayed the message 100 times. The words "Council controls the stars" echoed in his mind. He felt small, like a child standing in front of a locked door that hid something enormous. He opened his notebook and wrote down his questions. Who sent the message? What is the Council? Why warn Earth? Armin didn't know, but he felt that the answers were out there, hidden in places where no human had dared to look. Far away, the Council's meeting continued. Another member finally broke the silence. We should act quickly. Erase a signal from Earth's machines. Destroy their evidence. Make them forget. The leader nodded. It will be done. Send the Watchers. Let them remove all traces before it spreads. One figure asked, "And what of the human who heard the message?" The leader's hood tilted slightly, revealing eyes that burned like stars. If necessary, silence him. At that same moment, Armin's computer screen flickered. Strange symbols appeared, filling the monitor. He gasped. Someone, or something, was trying to erase his recording. He quickly disconnected the power and pulled out the storage drive. His hands shook, but his mind was clear. Whoever these beings were, they did not want him to keep the message. The room grew cold. He felt as if invisible fingers were reaching through the air, searching for the truth he had discovered. He whispered to himself, "This is bigger than me, bigger than Earth." For the first time, Armin realized he was not just a man who liked listening to space signals. He had become a target. Back in the chamber, the Council continued their discussion. A younger member asked nervously, "But what makes humans so dangerous? They do not know our technology. They do not even know about the wider galaxy. Why treat them as a threat?" The leader finally answered, his voice deep and heavy like thunder. "Because humans carry something inside them that no other species has. It is not their weapons. It is not their machines. It is inside their blood. If they ever discover it, they will not just rise. They will rule." The Council members lowered their heads in silence. They all remembered the ancient prophecy, a story that was never written but whispered from one generation to the next. The day humans awaken, the galaxy will change forever. The leader raised his hand. "It is simple. We must stop them before they know the truth." The chamber lights dimmed. One by one, the Council members disappeared into shadows, their cloaks fading like smoke. Orders had been given. The Watchers were on their way. On Earth, Armin placed the drive into a hidden drawer. He locked it and sat back in his chair. His heart was still racing. He had no idea what the Council was, but he knew one thing for certain. Whoever they were, they feared Earth. And fear always meant one thing: danger was coming. The night outside remained quiet, but the silence was not peace. It was a silence before a storm. The council was watching. The secret was no longer safe. And Earth had just stepped into a war it did not even know existed. In the dark space above countless stars, the council had already made its decision. Earth was to be watched. Earth was to be controlled. And if control failed, Earth was to be destroyed. The chamber of the council glowed with cold blue light. The leader stood in silence while the other members argued among themselves. Their voices echoed like thunder. One of them shouted, "Humans are nothing. They are children with fire. Crush them before they burn us all." Another whispered, "No, not yet. If we strike too soon, the galaxy will notice. Let them think Earth is weak. Let them stay asleep." The leader raised his hand, and the chamber fell silent. His voice was sharp, like a blade. "Listen carefully. Humans are not aware of their own power, but they are fast learners. In 1 century, they rose from horses to machines that touch the moon. In another century, they will go further, and when they do, no one will be able to stop them." The members lowered their heads. They could not deny it. No other species had grown so quickly, so recklessly. The leader continued, "We must watch them from the shadows. If they grow too bold, we strike. Send the assassin fleets closer to their solar system. Let the humans never see them, but let us always see the humans." At that order, far away in the black void, ships began to move. They were silent, without fire or sound, like giant predators sliding through the ocean. Their destination was Earth. On Earth, life continued as usual. People went to work, children played, and cities glowed with light. No one knew that alien eyes were already fixed upon them. But one man felt the change. Armin. He could not sleep. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw the last word of the message, "Run." He tried to forget it, but the thought returned again and again. He felt as if the stars themselves were whispering secrets he was not meant to hear. One night, he stepped outside and looked at the sky. The stars shone like tiny lamps, calm and beautiful. But to Armin, they no longer felt safe. Somewhere out there, hidden between those lights, something was watching. He spoke softly to himself. "Why are they afraid of us? What do we have that makes them fear us?" He had no answer. But deep inside, he felt the council's shadow stretching toward Earth. Far beyond the solar system, inside a silent ship painted in black metal, alien eyes studied Earth. The Watchers had arrived. Their leader, a tall creature with skin like polished stone, stood in front of a hologram of Earth. He pressed his claw against the glowing image of the planet. They are still unprepared. Their armies fight each other. Their leaders care for power more than truth. They will be easy to control. Another Watcher hissed, "But what if they discover the signal? What if they learn of us?" The leader's eyes glowed. "Then we remind them of their place. Fear is the oldest weapon in the galaxy, and fear will keep us silent." The Watchers began sending invisible drones toward Earth's orbit. Tiny machines, smaller than insects, slipped into the planet's skies. They hid among satellites and clouds, unseen by human eyes. They would listen to every signal, every broadcast, every secret. Earth had become a cage, and the humans did not even know it. Back in his small room, Armin felt uneasy. His computer was behaving strangely. Files were missing. Screens flickered, and sometimes he thought he saw symbols flashing for only a second. He whispered, "They are watching me." But he could not stop. Something inside him pushed him to dig deeper. He searched old archives, old space data, anything he could find. And slowly, a pattern appeared. Strange signals had been reaching Earth for decades, maybe even centuries. Most people dismiss them as mistakes, but Armin saw a design. Someone had been trying to warn Earth for a long time. Meanwhile, in the council's chamber, the leader spoke again. "Do not underestimate humans. They are not just another species. There's a reason the ancients feared them. There's a reason the prophecy speaks of Earth." One member asked in a trembling voice, "What prophecy?" The leader turned slowly. His burning eyes met the councilors. "The prophecy that says, the day humans awaken, the galaxy will bow or burn." The chamber grew silent. No one dared to speak. The leader raised his hand once more. "Prepare the fleets. Hide in the shadows. And wait. Earth must never know the truth." But one man already did. Amen. He looked at the night sky, unaware that fleets of silent ships were already moving closer, their shadows covering the stars. The Council believed Earth was still asleep, but Earth was beginning to dream. And soon, the dream would turn into fire. The world woke up to shocking news. Early one morning, telescopes across the planet saw something falling toward the moon. At first, scientists thought it was a meteor, but the way it moved, it was different. Too fast, too controlled, too precise. Within hours, governments released a simple statement. An unknown object has crashed on the moon. Investigation is ongoing. But the truth was bigger, much bigger. In a secret laboratory, a small group of scientists gathered. Among them, by pure chance, was Armin. His recordings of the strange signal had reached someone important. Instead of being silenced, he had been quietly pulled into the investigation. For the first time, he stood among real scientists, people with powerful machines, data, and access to secrets. Yet, even they looked nervous. On the screen in front of them was the crash site. A dark shape lay on the gray moon dust. It was not a rock. It was a ship. Armin whispered, "So it's true, they are here." The head scientist nodded slowly. "Yes, but if this is here, then more must be out there. And if more are out there, who controls them?" No one answered. The silence was heavy. Days later, a team landed on the moon. Cameras showed the alien ship up close. It was black, almost like glass, with symbols carved into its surface. No human language, no human design. When the astronauts touched it, the surface glowed faintly, as if alive. Inside the ship, the team found strange machines and shattered screens. The air was cold and heavy, as if the place had carried a secret for too long. And then they found it. At the center of the ship, inside a chamber, was a device. It was small, shaped like a cube, and it pulsed with blue light. The astronauts carefully removed it and sent it back to Earth. In the laboratory, Armin stood in front of the cube. His hands trembled. He could feel energy radiating from it. When the scientists activated the device, the cube projected a hologram. At first, it showed stars and galaxies, bright and beautiful. But then the images changed. They saw wars, fleets of ships burning entire planets, armies fighting under strange banners. And behind it all, in the shadows, stood cloaked figures, the Council. The scientists gasped. Armin stepped closer. The hologram was clear. The Council was not just real. It was a hand that had shaped the galaxy for thousands of years. Every war, every peace, every rise and fall, all had been controlled. One scientist whispered, This is impossible. No one should have this much power." Armin's eyes were wide. He remembered the message. The Council controls the stars. Now he could see it with his own eyes. But then the hologram showed something more. It showed Earth, not as it was now, but as it could be, burning under the fire of war. Ships rained destruction upon its cities, oceans boiled, and skies turned red. Armin felt his heart stop. The hologram was not just history. It was a warning of the future. Meanwhile, far away, the Council knew what had happened. The leader stood before his fellow members. His voice was like stone. The ship was lost. And now, humans know more than they should. Another member hissed, "The cube, if they unlock its secrets, everything will collapse." The leader's eyes glowed. "Then we must act before they understand. Send the hunters. Remove the cube. Erase the witnesses. Earth must not see what lies ahead." Back in the laboratory, the scientists argued. Some wanted to keep the discovery secret. Others wanted to reveal it to the world. But Armin stood in silence, staring at the burning image of Earth inside the hologram. He finally said, "We can't hide this. If we do nothing, this will happen. They will destroy us before we even begin." But before anyone could answer, the cube flickered. New symbols appeared, different from before. The scientists scrambled to translate. Slowly, the words became clear. Not all among them agree. Some fight for you. Trust the signal. Trust the code. Armin's eyes widened. Someone inside the Council had risked everything to send a message. There were enemies among the shadows, yes, but also an ally. The scientists leaned closer. The cube pulsed one last time, showing a single line of text before going dark. The secret is in your blood. The room fell silent. Everyone looked at each other in disbelief. Armin whispered, "Our blood? What do they mean?" No one had an answer. But deep inside, Armin knew this was only the beginning. Above Earth, hidden in the blackness of space, alien ships moved closer. Silent, patient, watching. The Council had begun their hunt, and Earth had no idea. The laboratory was silent. The alien cube no longer glowed, but its last words echoed in every mind. The secret is in your blood. The scientists stood frozen. Some stared at the dark cube, others at Armin. It was as if the room itself had stopped breathing. Finally, one of the senior scientists spoke. His voice was low, almost fearful. "If the message is true, then we must look deeper. Into ourselves." He opened a screen and pulled up human genetic data. Lines of DNA appeared, twisting like ladders of light. At first, it looked normal, just a code of life. But then, as he zoomed in, something strange appeared. Hidden deep inside the DNA, between the usual patterns, there were symbols. They were not natural. They were not random. They looked designed. The scientist's hand shook. This should not exist. Armin leaned closer. "What is it?" The scientist whispered. "A code, a message inside human DNA, placed there long before humans even knew how to read it." The team worked for days without rest. They scanned DNA samples from different people across the world. The result was the same. The code existed in every human being. It was ancient, older than history, older than the stars around them. One of the younger scientists gasped. "It's like someone planted this inside us." Another corrected him. "Not someone, something." Armin stood silently, watching the data scroll across the screen. The Council feared Earth not because of weapons, not because of technology, but because of this, because humanity carried something inside their very blood. The message from the cube made sense now. Not all among them agree. Trust the signal. Trust the code. The code was not just a warning. It was a key. Meanwhile, far away, in the hidden chamber of the Council, the leader received the news. "The humans have begun to study their DNA," said one of the cloaked members. The leader's eyes glowed with anger. "Then the time has come. They are walking the path too soon. They must be stopped before they unlock the code." Another counselor asked carefully, "But what does the code truly do?" The leader turned his burning gaze toward him. "It is the power of creation itself, a seed left by the ancients. Whoever unlocks it can shape the stars, bend life, and command the galaxy. That is why it must never fall into human hands." The chamber grew cold. Every member knew the truth now. Humans were not just another species. They were the only species that carried the seed of power. The leader raised his hand. "Send the spy. Let Earth's own leaders betray them. And if that fails, send the fleets." Back on Earth, Armin and the scientists argued. One said, "We must tell the world. Humanity deserves to know." Another shouted, "No? If we reveal this, panic will spread. Wars will break out. People will fight over who controls the code." Armin stood in silence. His mind was heavy. Finally, he spoke. "Whether we tell the world or not, the Council already knows. They are afraid of us. That means they are watching. And if they are watching, they will act. We have no choice but to prepare." But how could a small group of humans prepare against a power that controlled galaxies? That night, Armin sat alone. He thought about the words again. "The secret is in your blood." He looked at his hand, at the veins under his skin. Could something so normal hold the key to everything? The thought was terrifying, but also powerful. Suddenly, his computer flickered again. Strange symbols flashed on the screen. But this time, they were not trying to erase his files. They were trying to send something. A line of text appeared. "They are coming. Trust no one." Armin's blood ran cold. Was this another warning from the hidden ally inside the Council? Or was it a trick? He copied the message quickly and saved it. But before he could react, the screen went black again. Somewhere in the shadows, a spy was already moving. A spy not from space, but from Earth itself. Someone close. Someone human. The Council's fear had reached Earth. The code in human DNA was no longer safe. And Armin had no idea that the next betrayal was already inside the room. The forbidden secret had been found. Now the real danger would begin. The laboratory was no longer a safe place. After discovering the hidden code inside human DNA, the team worked day and night. Every result, every line of data, felt like opening a door to something larger than life. But the more they discovered, the more fear grew inside the room. Armin watched carefully. He noticed small changes. Some scientists looked nervous. Some whispered when others were not listening. And one of them, a man named Dr. Kareem, was acting strangely. Kareem was always there, always smiling, always asking too many questions. He pretended to be helpful, but his eyes were different, cold, sharp, always watching. Armin did not trust him. One evening, the team gathered to analyze the newest discovery. The DNA code was beginning to make sense. It was not just random symbols, it was a blueprint for something powerful. One scientist whispered, "If we finish decoding this, it could change everything. Medicine, technology, even space travel. We could become unstoppable." But another warned, "Or it could destroy us. Power this big is never safe." Armin listened, but his eyes stayed on Kareem. And in that moment, he saw it. Kareem quickly copying files onto a hidden device in his pocket. Armin's heart froze. Later that night, Armin followed him quietly through the dark hallways of the facility. Kareem moved with purpose, as if he already knew where to go. He entered a hidden room. Inside, a small communicator glowed faintly. Kareem pulled out the device and spoke in a low voice. "They have almost unlocked the code. I am sending everything now. The Council will be pleased." Armin's eyes widened. His suspicion was true. Kareem was not just a scientist. He was a spy. Far away, in the Council's chamber, the leader listened to Kareem's message. A thin smile appeared under the hood. "Good. Bring us the data. Earth must never know what lies inside them." The Council's plan was working. Back in the facility, Armin tried to stay calm. He knew he had to warn the others. But before he could, Kareem turned suddenly, as if he felt eyes on him. Armin ducked behind the door. His breathing was loud in his ears. After a moment, Kareem walked away, carrying the stolen device. Armin waited, then rushed back to the lab. He gathered the team and spoke in a trembling voice. "Kareem is not one of us. He's working for them, for the Council." The scientists stared at him in disbelief. Some shook their heads. "No, that's impossible. He's been with us for months." But Armin's voice grew firm. "I saw him. I heard him. He has the data. If we don't stop him now, everything we found will be in their hands." The room erupted in panic. Some wanted to chase Kareem. Others wanted to hide. The truth was heavy. There was a traitor among them, and the Council was already reaching inside Earth. Meanwhile, Kareem made his move. He left the facility quietly, blending into the night. A hidden ship waited for him far above, invisible to human eyes. As he activated his beacon, the ship answered. A dark beam of light pulled him upward, carrying the stolen DNA research with him. The betrayal was complete. Inside the Council chamber, the leader studied the stolen data. Lines of human DNA glowed across the air. "So," he whispered, "the code truly exists. The ancients did not lie." Another member leaned closer. "Should we destroy Earth now, before they learn more?" The leader shook his head. "Not yet. Let them crawl a little longer. Let them believe they are safe. And when they finally begin to rise, we will strike." The Council's laughter echoed like thunder. Back on Earth, Armin sat in despair. The team argued around him, blaming each other, shouting in fear. But Armin's thoughts were clear. "We are not ready," he whispered to himself. "They are inside our walls. They are already controlling us." He remembered the hologram from the alien cube, the wars, the burning Earth, the prophecy. He knew the Council would not stop now. But deep inside, he also knew something else. The code was not gone. It was inside every human being. The Council could steal the research, but they could not erase what lived in humanity's blood. That was their weakness. That was Earth's only hope. Above the planet, the Council's fleets drifted in silence, waiting for the order. Below, humanity slept peacefully, unaware that their own kind had already betrayed them. And in the middle of it all stood Armin, one man holding a secret too dangerous to hide and too powerful to reveal. The betrayal had begun. The war was closer than ever. The night sky above Earth looked calm, but danger was everywhere. In the shadows of space, the Council's fleets waited. On Earth, Armin carried the weight of a truth too heavy to bear. The stolen DNA research haunted him. Kareem, the spy, had delivered it to the Council. Now they knew exactly how close humans were to unlocking their secret. But Armin refused to give up. Deep inside, he believed the message was true. Not all among them agree. Trust the signal. Trust the code. Someone out there wanted humans to rise. One evening, as Armin worked alone, his computer flickered again. This time, the message was longer, clearer. You must understand. The Council fears you because you are not just another race. Earth is the origin. Humans carry the seed of the ancients. If you awaken, their rule ends. Armin's breath caught. His hands shook as he read the words. Origin? Seed of the ancients? He whispered, What are we really? The screen glowed again with a final line. Do not fear them. They fear you. The galaxy is waiting. And then, silence. Far away, in the hidden chamber of the Council, the leaders gathered again. The stolen human DNA glowed in the air before them. One of the cloaked members spoke nervously. The prophecy was true. The code exists. Humans are the heirs of the ancients. Another hissed, If the galaxy learns this, our rule will collapse. The people will follow them. The leader raised his voice. That is why Earth must never rise. They are still blind, still crawling in the dirt. If they discover who they are, we lose everything. The chamber shook with their anger. Some demanded war. Others demanded silence. But all of them agreed on one thing. Humanity must never know the truth. Meanwhile, Armin gathered the scientists who still trusted him. He showed them the message. Some gasped. Some refused to believe. But no one could deny the evidence. One scientist whispered, We are not just human. We are something more. Armin nodded slowly. The Council has ruled the galaxy for ages. But they are afraid of us. Afraid of what we carry. If we understand the code, we can stand against them. The room grew silent. The idea was terrifying, yet powerful. That night, Armin stood outside, staring at the stars. He felt small, but also connected. The galaxy no longer felt far away. It felt alive, waiting, watching. For the first time, he understood why the Council feared Earth. It was not because of their weapons. It was not because of their machines. It was because humans were unfinished. They were still waking up. The Council ruled with fear. But fear cannot control forever. High above, inside one of the Council's black ships, Kareem stood before the alien leader. He lowered his head in respect. I have done as you asked. The humans will not rise. The leader's burning eyes studied him. You are wrong, he said coldly. They will rise. Perhaps not today, perhaps not tomorrow, but soon. And when they do, no spy, no fleet, no council will stop them. Kareem froze. The leader's words were not of victory. They were of fear. On Earth, Armin's mind raced. He realized the final truth. The Council feared Earth not because it was strong, but because Earth wasn't even trying yet. Humanity's real power was still asleep, waiting in their blood. The prophecy echoed in his thoughts. The day humans awaken, the galaxy will bow or burn. He clenched his fists, his voice firm. They think we are weak. They think we are blind. But they are wrong. We are only beginning. And so, the story closed with shadows and silence. The Council still ruled the stars. The fleet still circled Earth. And humans still lived their normal lives, unaware of the storm above them. But a seed had been planted. A secret had been revealed. And one day soon, humanity would awaken. When that day came, the galaxy would never be the same again.